So, welcome back to a bit Gamey and MAKT next episode, where MAKT stands for messing about with terrain, kit bashing and terrain. So over the last year or so I've been getting odds and ends of stuff to make terrain with, and by accident getting a few bits which are actually pre-made. Nice little wall, nice little bridge, a couple of things I made earlier, my little sandbags. Yeah, so I've been buying all this stuff, not really knowing what I'm doing. Little bits of cocktail sticks and bases and bits of sandbags and wire for a barbed wire, bases for barbed wire, more bridges, and so I thought it's about time to try and make some stuff. It's all crowding up on me. Renedra, rail fencing, picket fencing, blah blah blah. It's all getting a bit too much. So I need to make some stuff. That's what this is about. So I'm going to pick out a few things to make. I don't know if this is going to be of any interest to anyone, but it might by accident. Yeah, and big caveat, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not a tutorial. This is not a tutorial, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, apart from watching lots of videos. So I'm going to try some stuff, and it might either be a warning to someone not to do it like that, or it might work. Who knows? The original train I've been using is pictures printed off the internet and stuck on a bit of card, cereal packets, whatever. And it's very good. It's very cheap, you know. Very cheap, very easy. A nice wood. With the farm. A nice bridge. Obviously, slightly pointing in the wrong direction. A nice farm. French farmhouse. So you can do this, you know, it costs nothing basically. But it's not very aesthetic. And I want to go for something a bit nicer. Anyway, that's that. So the things I'm going to do, I've got a couple of these barbed wire stands with the little things on there so you can't put the wire on. I'll paint them up and put some wire on. I mean, in the future, if it might turn out I want to do more of those, but I'm just doing these as just as an example. I'll do this little bridge. I actually want to make a thing out of that. I want to put it on a kind of as part of a river. So it has a little river base on top, but that's longer term. I've got various bits of clump foliage, which I'm going to put on these, or some of these 5-inch bases, MDF bases. To paint them up and put some clump foliage on, I don't know, flock or something, I don't know what, and make some hedges out of that. I also got these things that I showed before, which I originally thought were, I don't know why, but originally thought were tracks, bases for tracks, but they're actually river, what do you call them, tiles-ish, I don't know. Well, I'll call them river bases for now. I've seen two ways of doing this, river stuff. There's one with toilet paper, and another one with kind of, with this water effects stuff you can get. So I'm probably going to try one of each of those as an experiment. Well, yeah, there's another couple of those sandbag bases I did before, but I won't show them because I did them before. There's a little collection of odd shaped bases from wall bases. I'm going to do some kind of scattered around. One of the things I've noticed when I was watching other people's videos is you can create a nice impression of something with just a handful of scatter bases in a clump. And I was thinking of using the where is it? I've got these tall tufts of kind of marsh wheat, like a bit like reeds. So I'm thinking of those thin ones could be made into like a little reed base that goes alongside the river. So I'll try that. The other thing was using lichen on these kind of bases as well as hedges. There's other stuff I bought for for walls and such. I mean, these aren't making it that's it exactly, but just as a model for the size. So one of the things is I want 20 mil or 172 stuff for the World War II, and 28 mil for other things. So there's going to be a bit of experimentation on that. And the third point, if I can find it, was I was looking at terrain. The sort of terrain I'm looking for would be like ancient stuff, ancient 28mm, or not ancient, but medieval 28mm, 28mm. So Europe, also horse and musket Europe 28mm, 28mm, and 20mm World War II. I was looking at pictures on the screen online for pictures of Polish terrain, and I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to kind of copy that or get close to it. One of the things I saw was this kind of farm in. I'll put the pictures up afterwards. A farm in Poland with kind of a fence outside as a kind of outer boundary. And so I was wondering if these 28mm picket fences with the kind of top cut off would look a bit like that. I mean, they're not right exactly, because the Polish fence is an actual entire fence, but at 28mm picket fence with a bit cut off might look okay for that 20 for a 20mm fence. Anyway, blah blah blah. So I'm trying to do a few of these things and see if they work. So thinking of what I'm aiming for, I'm looking at Poland at the beginning. Well, I say it's really it's a combination of France and Poland, really. But I'm not entirely sure what I'm getting at. But thinking about Poland in terms of the terrain, you've got this kind of lakey region in the northeast, coastal region in the northwest. You've got this big central plain, North European plain. So you've got the Vistula and the Oder and all that, and there's a big central river thing heading towards Warsaw, and then there's the Hilia country in the south. So I'm going for the idea of little kind of 3 battle campaign or whatever, going down the central plain towards Warsaw. And so what does it look like? Apparently it looks like that. I mean, I don't know if it looked like that in the 1940s or 1939, but I'm going to guess it is similar. The thing about it, it's very open, obviously. Big fields. Seems to be very limited, hedgerow situation going on, and the fences. Might be fences along there. You got the roads. You've got these like in France where you've got the trees on both sides of the road. You got what looks like little farm off tracks here and there, which don't seem to have much in the way of barriers. I mean, they probably are. They're probably sort of fences or whatever. Big chunks of trees. Another example. Again, you got your roads. These ones do seem to have hedges along the edges, and fields separated less by hedges and more by what kind of like half trees. So a mixture of trees and hedges, acting as the field boundaries. Little bits of woods tucked away in the corners, and on some of the fields they don't have anything like that at all. You have to guess they've already got some kind of fence, but not hedges. Main road going along, sort of maybe something along the edge. Very flat, little clumps of trees. So that's a kind of general idea. Another thing, I saw a site doing terrain, and I noticed the fencing around the edge. This is kind of like not a picket fence, but a tall version of a picket fence without the little decoration on the top. And that seems to me like a pretty good a potential model for not so much field boundaries, but potentially field boundaries, but around buildings. So that's what I was thinking. The 28mm picket fence might work for that, because you can see it's not a complete fence. It's got gaps in it like a picket fence. It's really just a question of the height, and I have to guess what the height of that is. To be honest, now I'm thinking about it, is that sort of 6 foot or 8 foot or whatever. But anyway, that's kind of the plan. That's what I've been looking at photos, hopefully that date back to that time, on old wartime videos and pictures, and looking for differences in their terrain. Other than, because the standard wargaming terrain is kind of like UK-ish a bit, the hedges and stuff. So wondering what it was like in other places. Anyway, that's that. So where to start? I think the armour fast walls, stone walls, and gate, about the same size as the these bases that I've got. They're 5 inches by 1 inch roughly. So I'll do them, and with the other 4 of those bases, I'm going to do some hedges with clump foliage and maybe some lichen. That's 4 of them. Do a couple more of those sandbag bases I did before. I won't show that, I'll just do it. The 2 barbed wire bases and wire. I think these are Jarvis or Javis, but I think I got them from Woodland Scenics. I got half of this stuff. Well, I don't actually remember where I got it, but I think I got half of it in from Woodland Scenics, and the other half from Mighty Lancer Games. So there's them. And I'll do 3 of these little bases with tufts, these kind of long 12mm tufts, try to like reeds. I said the other point to make is scales, because it's going to be a mixture of 172 20mm scale and 28mm. So some of them could look a bit funny going around. Oh yeah, 2 stream sections, one using the water effect stuff and one with toilet paper. The little bridge. Not sure what to. I say I probably want to make that kind of a set piece over a river, but I'll just do the bit of the bridge done for now, and then try these Renedra picket fences. They're 28mm, and see how they work as a 20mm Polish fence. So that's the list. So first step, base paint all the bases, and stick the plastic things together and see what we get. So base painted with the acrylics. That's what the picket fence I was hoping would be a bit taller, because from the previous picture, it looked like it's like 7 or 8 foot 7 or 8 foot tall, so taller than a man. It's almost there, but not quite. Obviously, it's much more looser. The slats are separated, but it's close. It could do with being a little bit taller though. So if I snap a load of patty or something down on the ground, and lift it up like another millimetre or two. I mean, it's sort of right height. It doesn't look, it wouldn't look exactly right, but it's close, and close enough. So I think I'll do that. I'll get a strip of patty and raise it up a couple of millimetres. And 2 of these do fit very neatly on one of these, so yeah, that'll do, I think. Look a bit wrong, but not too bad. So need to glue these bits of wall down on a few of them and get them primed. Glue the mags on these. Figure out how to wrap barbed wire around these and get the clump foliage on a couple of these. Oh, what else? Yep, once there. Update. So the river tiles with some putty along the edges. Use something called green stuff. No, not green, grey stuff, which I bought ages ago. I wanted to use just in case it's going dry. That stuff. Yeah, just plop it down along the edges to be the boundary of the stream. Not sure how long it takes to dry, but a little bit longer, I think. That's the great on the river. The clump foliage on the bases. One of the videos I watched mentioned you could use lichen for this as well. So I whacked a bit of lichen in, and then they say you cover it with flock. So I have to try that. It's it's not quite as tall as I was expecting, but that will do for now. So that's it. I did one of them. There's going to be a bunch more. What else is there? Well, oh yeah, the thing on the picket fencing. I was talking about that again, about the height of it, and maybe it's okay. Because when you think about the picket fences, your first thought is America and the white picket fences. And I was looking at various at the history of picket fences, and they mostly talk about the American situation. But I saw a picture, a painting, from Botticelli, who's 15th century, and it was a picket fence, and it was around what looked like a shrine. So I don't know. So I was reading out on the history of picket fences, and they mentioned them being the boundary of cricket fields in England, and there's this Botticelli painting from the 15th century, and I don't know. You get the feeling that picket fences were around quite a long time, but most of the history of them seems to have disappeared, apart from in America. And I assume people in America got them from somewhere, Holland or Germany or Britain or somewhere. So I don't know. I'm basically going back to my original plan of having these as for 20mm figures as a Polish fence, for housing. It's their kind of border fence. I don't know if that's exactly right, but that's what I'm going to go. I'm going to go for that for now. So it's them, primed. New painting. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, primed the armour fast walls and the what we call them, the sandbag bases. So what's next? Next I'm going to do a sail. I'm not entirely sure, I should have painted them brown, but they're going to be covered in flock probably. So we shall see. So yeah, rivers need to be on the bridge. Quite a nice little bridge. Also, the other thing about that bridge is it's got these two extra pieces, which, you know, as far as I can tell, the only place you could put them is to cover up there, to cover up the where the where the bridge part was joined onto the side piece. So I don't know if actually meant to do that. So that's the only option I can think of. You glue, you know, one of them over the top. Don't know. So we'll probably do that. So what's next? Yeah, I'll start gluing and flocking the hedge, particularly over. I'm adding more glue and flock over the lichen part. See if that works. Flocking those little bases with something. Not sure what. Painting and flocking these. Got 3 more bases to do the flocking on, to do the hedging on, but waiting to see whether the lichen part works out okay. And then deciding what to do with the barbed wire ones. So leave it brown. Leave it brown so it's all just been dug up, or have little patches of flock on it before putting the wire on. Decisions. I click the armour fast pieces, stuck to the base, bit of flock, painted grey with a dark wash to show up the inside of the bricks, or the, you know, what do you call them, the whatever. So very happy with those, and they're just, you know, because they're from armour fast, they're designed for 172, or, you know, 20 millimeter, so they fit pretty good. So I got these other things I got from I don't know where, Jarvis, I think, from Mighty Lancer, but via Jarvis, and they're I thought they were just unpainted, but they're actually painted with some flock on the edge. They're about the same. So I don't know, I've got another 3 lengths of these armour fast ones. So I think I was gonna put hedges on these ones, but I think I'm gonna finish off the armour fast, and I may get some more of these and some more of my armour fast. I'm not sure, but they're pretty good. You know, nice 172 scale stuff. That's that. The little pieces of weighted thing with the large tufts, bit of flocking on the corners. I'm not sure I should have done it in painted them brown, but they do the job for either marshy terrain or along the edge of a river or stream. That's kind of boggy ground. So I'll do more of those. And that'll be my kind of marsh tile sorted out. What else is there? Yeah. Picket fence. You know, what size is it? I don't know. It's workable, I think. You know, using the 28mm picket fence with the tops cut off as a kind of 20mm Eastern European fence thing, I think it just about works. Not 100% sure, but I think it does. So I need to get some more of those these bases for the rest of these. There's about, I don't know, 4 or 5 bases worth, I think. The barbed wire bases, paint a bit of green on the bottom, I've got to put the wire on. So they're good. I'll think about getting another couple of those. The hedge. So the experiment was to see. I saw someone doing one of these, and they had some lichen in between or mixed in with the clump foliage. And I don't know. I don't think it's very effective. Really. It's probably something I did wrong. But the more important point I think is people doing terrain for a living or as a sideline. It's important for them to get the cheapest materials they can, really. And I was originally disappointed by how much clump foliage you get in the packet, but I'm sure it's, by my reckon, it's like 4 or 5 or 6 bases worth in one packet. So even though it doesn't look like much, and it isn't much in weight and such, it's still enough maybe for 2-3 feet of hedgerow. And one of the things is on my table, on a 3x3 table, that's 9 square feet, and the kind of standard table is 6x4, so 24 square feet. So I'm looking at maybe 40% of the surface area. So I think you could do it with lichen, by gluing it down and then flocking it. But do I need it? Do I need to worry about the cost? Because the clump foliage is cheap enough for my small table. So I think I'll call that a day on that experiment. But I'll just get the clump foliage. It's perfectly fine. Does the job. Stick them on these bases with a bit of flock around the edge. Job done. So that's all success really. Got it all figured out. Slightly less successful. Doing these simple little bases for it's just about I'm not entirely sure if the sandbags are the right size, but more or less they work more or less for 20 mil figures. So that should be okay. The other thing was I got some kind of base flock stuff from somewhere, I can't remember exactly. Galeforce, I think. And they had all these different various coloured stuff in little pots. So I thought I'd try and get rid of it because it's not very useful. It's not very helpful for me. It might be for modellers and people doing dioramas and such. So I chucked some of it in a pot and scattered some on here. I don't think that really works. Not quite sure why. So I have to redo that. And similarly, I don't no idea why I did this. I did it on the bridge as well. It doesn't look like any kind of bridge I've been on. So the texture might work fine underneath another coat of paint. So I'll probably do that for both of those things. And I still haven't done the rivers. It still feels very sticky, the grey stuff. I'm not sure if that's meant to be that way. But that's all right. So steady progress. But saying in terms of long term, I know now a good way to do marshes, at least for 20 mil figures. So it's only 12 mil tufts on these little bases. Instead of doing a grand big, I kind of like a big base for a marsh. I just have get lots of these little ones and scatter them around. Or to get some trees as well, really, because the thing is that, like, on the hedgerows that I'm thinking about in France and the ones in Poland, they have these they're more likely to be a kind of a mixture of hedge and tree. So you'd have a tree there sort of thing. But I've been avoiding getting trees at the moment because not knowing quite how to store them. Anyway, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, and the last thing is I'm increasingly interested in this in the whole thing about where picket fences came from. So I was showing the I'll have to show the picture from what was his name? I can't remember his name now. Oh, the guy, I'll do that in a second.
So this is the picture by Botticelli from the 1490s, and there's some kind of shrine or whatever there with a guy on the top, and it's got these picket fences around it. I mean, it's the interesting thing from my point of view is, did pickets get their name from this, or did this fence, or did this fence get their name from pickets? Because they say this is 1490, and it seems to be surrounding some kind of shrine or some kind of religious. It looks like it's got some kind of religious significance. But you can imagine if there was some kind of thing like this, which people did around holy sites, for example, whether a Christian or pagan or whatever, and they had these kind of little spiked in a circle around it, then you could see that these could be called seen as sentries, as seen, because pickets was a word for sentries. You had a military camp, and you had the pickets on the outside, keeping watch, for a night attack or whatever. And you could imagine if picket fences were already there, that you could call them, they could get called pickets as a result of these stakes, and vice versa. If you had, if the sentries came first, and then later certain venues were encircled with these picket fences, they were called pickets because of the sentries, or the sentries were called pickets because of the stakes. I don't know. It's not important or anything. I've got no actual use for it that I can think of, but it's just an interesting idea that if they had these kind of fences enclosing some kind of significant site before centuries were named, or if it's the other way around. It's a weirdly interesting thing that I find weirdly interesting. So there you go. And the bit that gets me is, or particularly gets me, is we know the Puritans like to sort of, or didn't like anything naughty, and you wonder if these picket fences were originally designed as a kind of to ward off evil spirits or ward off the evil eye or whatever. Maybe a pagan thing, or maybe it was Christian, but not the right kind of Christian. And so you wonder if they this kind of this gap in the knowledge between it being so associated with the white picket fence in America, and the kind of the loss of the knowledge of what it was before, in Europe or in Britain or in wherever it was, whether they kind of they kind of erased it from history because it was a pagan thing, for making you protect you from evil spirits. Don't know. I say, just find it weirdly interesting.
So, final part. Finished the 6 armour fast bits of wool. I just noticed these. They've got little connectors on the ends for joining them together, but never mind. So 6 times 5 inches, so almost 3 feet worth of wool, which will be I don't know, 1/2 of a road across a 3 foot table. So I might get another set of those, or some more of these. I need a bigger base for these though, or 2 lots of 3 inches maybe. You shall see. 2 lots of barbed wire. I've seen people do much more realistic ways of doing the barbed wire, but that's good enough for me. You need a load more of these 5-inch bases for hedges. Use up that clump foliage. Another load of bases for those picket fences. There's about another five sets of with actual fence parts. Changed the sandbaggy things, bit of a lichen and mixture of different flocks, and painted over a lot of that light sandy coloured stuff. So they're okay now. They're not brilliant. I mean, it's, well, you know, whatever. There's the thing when you watch all these clever terrain videos, people kind of creating all these very realistic terrain pieces, and I was kind of forgetting that my original plan was just to do something that was part way between what I did when I was a kid, which was just, you know, pieces of cardboard painted blue, green or brown, and some of the kind of really fancy realistic stuff that other people do. And I was thinking, you know, I was only aiming originally just to do something that's halfway between that, not super duper, but, you know, better than just brown cardboard, or, you know, green cardboard or blue cardboard. And so I've sort of gone back into that state of mind now. That I'm not aiming to be as good as the best trade makers, just to be better than I was, better than my kind of youthful version. And these, you know, these fit that bill. Another kind of thing I had was these rivers. So originally I was you know, the plan was to have a river base, and you build up the edge with putty or whatever, and put some flock on it, and then use that to for the water effect. Either you put toilet paper in a clump, you know, sort of down on the base, and then covered in glue. That's one option, and the other option was the same sort of idea, like using the resin water effect stuff, and that's the you know, that's a good way of doing it. But I realised when I was messing about with this stuff that two of these stream sections, if you put them together, you can make yourself a kind of a wider river section for like a river crossing. And I was thinking, okay, how would I do that? Should I put, you know, a border strip along, you know, one edge each, so that they join together, you know, in the middle? And I started thinking, well, you know, do I need that, or is it, you know, a board painted blue, a board painted blue going to be good enough? And so I decided that, yeah, maybe it was. That's my little bit of an epiphany there. Okay, two of those stuck together, because you can have them separately as a separate bit of stream, have them together as a river. Would that be good enough? And so I decided maybe it would. So I'm going to leave them as that for now. So I've got these two that I did, but I'm going to leave them as that, and just have on these. They're 6 inches long. So if I wanted a 3 foot table with that river down the middle for a river crossing, then I'd need so it's 3 foot, so that'd be 6, 12. I need 12 of these to make a big river crossing, and then they could be separate for a stream. So that's the thought. Well, that's the current thought anyway. Because I had some of these twisty pieces as well, so, you know, that's what that is. I don't know how long that is. So this is that's an example. If you had a twisty version, you know, you can get 3 foot out of that quite easily. So that's going to be the plan for the rivers for now anyway. It's going to have them not just like that and just get some more straight ones to represent, you know, a proper river, and so you get a 3 foot double river. That'll give you plenty of small rivers too. So that's going to be for that. So not get over carried away with the realistic water effects. Because I say, you know, that's a step up from what I need. Another thing was that, you know, I've done some more of the. I originally done, you know, 3 of these as an example. So you got a whole bunch like this. Those from those little from those wall bases sets, which had a bunch of little random sort of little scatter bases, and I painted them blue as a base this time, because it's supposed to be kind of marsh or riverside boggy ground. So I just did them as a base blue, but then covered them up with mostly covered them up with flock and these large clumps of foliage and bits of what do we call it, cork, little bits of cork, and these other smaller tufts. And I think they look rather good. Yeah, you can make a decent looking marsh out of that instead of having a giant base for your marsh. You have a whole load of small pieces in a cluster, on scatter bases. So that'd be a kind of nice, I mean, maybe a little bit more than that. Could be a nice little swamp or marsh tile. But I'm getting everything. It's all getting set now in how to make it work. There's still woodland to do, and hills and buildings. But I'm kind of there, I think, in terms of the other stuff. Well, I don't have any actual roads, but I could you make roads by making the walls along the edges. So anyway, that's it's kind of all clear cut now. Need to get some more bases for various things, just to repeat what I've done there. But apart from that, it's all working out, I think. Okie doke. To the pip.